welcome to the WRFL Icon Series. I'm Kevin Hillier. The role of women in football seems to be a new thing, but it actually isn't. And that's what, in this episode of this series, we're going to try and expand on. Because we have with us tonight 3 women who've had long histories in football in the western suburbs for various reasons. So let's meet them right now. Annette McLaren from the Spotswood Football Club. Hello.
Hello, Kev.
How are you going?
Good, thank you.
That's good. Meredith Angwin, who's the president of the Western Region Football League.
Okay.
Lovely to have you here. And Ros Dickson, who's been around the Hoppers Crossing Footy Club for a long, long time.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Ros, let's start with you. When did it start with you, and how did it start? Was it through your hubby or through the children?
Through the children. My eldest son started when he was 7. That was in about 78, and then my younger son and my husband was involved in, and he used to be a coach and organise sort of like a few sides.
Yep.
And then I got involved with the canteen just a little bit, like until they got older. And I was team manager for 4 years, and then I...
It started in the canteen.
Yeah, started in the canteen, yes.
But then you...
Just a little bit, not too much then.
And that was
beginning.
kind of almost the traditional place where women were in football in those days, in that sort of part of the 70s. But that sort of, as you say, it moved into team management.
Team management.
As we'll
and then as my children got older, I took over in 1990 in the canteen.
Yep.
And one of the ladies couldn't do it, so I took over into Yvonne Stormont. I don't know if you remember her.
Yeah,
I took over from her, and then I did that I used to do Thursday nights and the weekends, every second Saturday and every Sunday. I did that for about 25 years.
Yeah.
And I got a few awards through the club, and I got one from the Western Region as well.
Yeah, you did.
And from the sports club. But the main thing I was there for was not for awards, it's because I love the club.
Yep.
And my husband and I, we got a lot of enjoyment out of being involved with the club over the years.
Yep.
He did a lot of work, 25 years in the club, and then he was in the sports club for a long time, and he did a lot of work too. He was team manager, first aid, and coaching. He did a lot of work for the club as well.
Yep.
My daughter did a lot of work for the club too.
Yep.
She was boundary umpire for when boys were young, did the banners for the juniors and also for the seniors. So we were a real football family, and we all loved it so much.
That's what it brings, that whole family thing. And you were almost born into it too, Meredith, weren't you, really, when you think about it?
I was almost born into it, Kevin. So, I mean, Dad was involved in the tribunal for Footscray District Football League back then, from the mid-70s. And then he became president of the Footscray District Football League, and that was in 1981. And I still remember to this day, Mum, you know, Dad went off in these areas, and I left home at that point in time. And I remember having this discussion with Dad, and I said to Dad, so you probably need to ease up on these things because I'm not here. And he goes, no, I'll be taking your mother with me. And so from that, Mum ended up being the treasurer of the Footscray District Football League. So together they actually did this for 10 years, together on those points. So, and it was de rigueur nearly every weekend, maybe not every weekend, but most weekends, Mum and Dad would go out and go to the games and those areas. And Mum really enjoyed it as well. Dad passed away, but Mum's still alive and kicking and stuff like that, and I still take her out to this day now. Yep. We still go out to some of the grounds and those areas as well. So yeah, it's been important. Mum was always there a bit as a backstop, but then she sort of came into her own as well, being a key part.
Her passion for the local footy was unbelievable.
Yeah,
indeed.
It still is, obviously.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, she really enjoys it.
Annette, yourself?
1998.
You don't get that.
So I started in ice kick.
What to say?
So I coached for 6 years, and then went into juniors. Took on the role as junior administrator of the club, and then took on the role of club administrator, and that's where I still am.
Yep. Was it in the early days, was it hard to be taken seriously? And I don't mean that in a flippant manner at all. Was it difficult?
I think it was, because predominantly it was male-dominated.
Yep.
So the previous people that had been in that role had been males, and then to come in and take on that role. But then you earned the respect of people, and then they realised the role that you had, what you did, and from there, I would say that I would have the respect of most of the people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean, people talk about the glass ceiling and all that sort of stuff. Were you challenged by the male domination of football clubs?
I think I was initially. I think I was a little bit daunted initially, thinking, how am I going to deal with this? But, remain open, honest, have a job to do. And then in the latter years, we put in place job descriptions around our role and what we do. Yep. And I think that's actually assisted certainly a lot from the club's perspective, and put in place policies, procedures around what we need to do, because certainly you need to actually look towards being more professional and compliant, and compliance I think is a very big issue.
Yeah. From a league point of view, Meredith, is that where we're heading in areas that it's now going to become a lot easier for people to get involved in it, no matter what your gender is?
Well, I think it's always been a matter of that there's been a lot of women involved in football for all those periods of times. It's just that the prominence of the roles, they've been, as Roz has been in the canteen, or the critical roles that are actually supporting it. We have a lot of trainers now, we have a lot of umpires. Yep. There's a lot of women. Actually, when you look down the list of club administrators or junior administrators, when I look at all those lists, a significant proportion are female. Yep. It's just the roles that people see, the titular type roles, if you like, president or those types of areas, have always been held, or largely, not always, I can't say because we've had some female presidents, absolutely, but majority of them have been male. I think we will see that change over those as we start to embrace not only female football, but also we're actually expanding what we're doing in netball. And I think it's a recognition more broadly in community that just because of your gender, if you've got the skills and the passion to actually drive and actually be the head of a club, then what does it matter?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It should be based on your ability.
Football is a wonderful game. We all, and look at AFL as well. They have the predominant of women. There's more women participate and actually go to the games as well. It's strong. It's just one of the strongest sports in terms of females being supporters and actually spectators. So I think there's a lot that can be opened up in that space.
Yeah. One of the things I've always thought was that was never given credit to the ladies who ran canteens and all that. Was you were actually the business arm of the football club, because there wasn't any money being made anywhere else in the football club. It was being made in the canteen. And the money that was finished up in the players' pockets was coming from the canteen. So you were running the business side of what has now become
plus
a pretty
all
big
the
business.
Sponsors.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, before I forget, could I just say that I'd like to congratulate Sue for becoming the Victorian of the Year. Yes, for what she's done for football and for Footscray, and also for diabetes. She did a lot of money for diabetes because her granddaughter had diabetes. I just thought I'd like to say that for her.
Yeah, okay. In terms of women in football and where it's going to go, are we on the precipice of mass explosion of roles and all the things that women are going to be able to do in football? Do you see that? Are you seeing that at the club level now? Because Spotswood's got a very healthy female program, junior girls program coming through, and women's teams.
Look, I think we are, and certainly it brings a whole new dimension to the club. We introduced under 12 girls, under 15 girls, and this year under 18 girls. Now we've got two teams. We've got the first senior women's team, and we had something like 49 players wanting to play. And I think we still have a squad of about 49. So
what's it changed? How's it changed your club?
It's changed in terms of so many new people coming into the club. And I guess one of the key things that I've noticed is that perhaps some of these, and particularly the women, perhaps haven't played sport before. And when I say haven't played sport, haven't played perhaps team sport like football. So they're learning what it means to be part of a team. and really embracing it and bringing along their family and their friends. So we're seeing a whole new target audience, and the same with the girls' football as well. We're getting people involved that perhaps have never actually been to an AFL game or local football.
Okay.
So parents in particular, you know, under 15, under 18 girls, where their parents perhaps typically might have gone to rugby or whatever it might have been, are now coming along because their daughters are playing.
Yeah, it's good.
So it's brought something quite special actually, and I have to say, our girls are a great bunch of girls, and I'm sure every club says that, but I think we have just a wonderful bunch of girls, but then we have a great group of coaches working with those young girls. So that really makes a huge difference.
The challenges for the competition in infrastructure and all those things that you have to have now that you have a double gender, if you want to call it that, sport. Meredith, how
I mean, it's a big challenge.
It must be massive.
I mean, it's a big, not just the Western Region Football League.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for all of the leagues. I think we are working, and I mean that's the clubs, the league, the councils, the state government, and I suppose AFL Victoria working towards actually solving those. But they're not. It's not as simple as
can't click your fingers and
actually fix it.
Yeah.
And it's a recognition that we have to continue to work on this over the next 3 to 5 years as part of our strategic planning, because we're in the year of refreshing the WRFL strategic plan. Infrastructure, and particularly a recognition of the growth of the game across and all the aspects, the male and the female game. It's one of our key, top 3 strategic priorities, how to actually work as part of that broader team to actually get the infrastructure work through. It takes, the recognition, we're sitting here doing this in the Werribee area, the dollars, and I can't remember the numbers, probably doesn't matter, but the dollars required to build infrastructure in the Wyndham area over the next 10 years are mind-boggling. I mean, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Not just for football, but for the whole infrastructural area. And so it's a massive thing. So.
Yeah. Challenge from a club point of view, has it been, is it as simple as change rooms and facilities and all those things that just have to be, we have to find them somewhere?
Correct, and particularly training. Training, looking at the logistics of who's going to train where and what nights they're going to train. We were fortunate that our council got a grant and we were able to renovate our second room. So they're now designed around female participation. Okay. Yep. So that's been done and that looks fantastic. But in terms of the infrastructure, whilst we have 2 grounds and we're very fortunate to do so, it's still the logistics of working out who's training where and so on. So that's been a challenge, particularly with, I guess, our senior women, wanting them to train on the same night as the senior men, and lighting isn't great, so, and with the Western distributors and council, trying to look at, our lights aren't fantastic, so we need better facilities to accommodate the growth. Yeah. And we believe it's going to grow. Yeah. So it has been a challenge.
It's all painted as great stories and terrific participation, all those things. Has there been resistance? Has there been any resistance from the male bastions of the game, from what you've seen, Meredith, against women coming in? I think there is some, to be honest. I think there's been a talking down of how important this is to the future of football by a lot of male members of media, and I think there's a lot of male members of media who aren't saying things that they really want to say about female football. But have you struck that at an administration level, at a league level and above?
If we take and we've had women or girls football in the Western Region Football League for about 7 years. Yep. But it did take off. And we set about at the league level, and I know a number of the clubs were involved and pushed into it early, but we set about in 2016 saying we are going to establish and work on getting a standalone WRFL senior women's competition, and as well as expanding it out. And we went at that quite deliberately. It didn't just happen. Yep. And a number of the early adopter clubs, Spotswood's one of those, but a number of the clubs in the competition saw the opportunity. I'd say that in that initial year, there was that, I'd go to discussions with with the clubs, and you'd get the, the football's not as good and stuff. And I'm like, and my standard comment to that was, give us the game for 5 years. Yeah. You've had the game for 150. Give us the game for 5 years.
Yeah, good call.
Right? But any change involves, you get some resistance. I look back though, and that was just over 2 years ago, and I look at, I went around the grounds, and when we go to we go and talk to people, there's the football, the involvement, what it's done for clubs, all the types of things, and the changes it's about. There's only positive. Overall, there's a very positive sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you find individual men who are actually grumbling about it? Maybe. Yeah. But that's life, really. Yeah. So, and that's fine. And of course, you need people to continue to drive you forward to improve things. So.
Absolutely.
Well, so what sort of a kick do you get up seeing the girls run around playing?
Oh, and it's marvellous.
Now?
Glenys, Glenys, my daughter, she always says, "Oh, Mum, I wish that they had football around when I was young for girls." But and it's marvellous for them.
Will your grandchildren be coming through? They'll be playing, hopefully?
Well, mainly boys. I've got 2 older granddaughters, but they're not interested. But all the boys are.
Yeah.
Worse luck. But I reckon it's been really, really good having the girls' football. Excellent.
Do you get a lot of personal satisfaction out of the role that you have at the Spotswood Football Club?
I do, certainly with the introduction.
You've been doing it for a fair while now.
15 years, yeah. I do. I mean, it's I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. Yep. But certainly with the introduction of the girls coming through a couple of years ago, and it's not about winning premierships, however we've been lucky enough to do so, but also seeing the young girls coming through now in the 9s, 10s and 11s.
Yeah, that's really good.
I think it's really important that they're actually a part of that, and eventually they may go on to play in the girls' team, or they may continue as they are, but just seeing the kids out there and playing football, and certainly seeing the kids that have come through to senior level, and I guess I refer to senior men, a lot of those boys now started in Auskick. So they're coming through. So it's really important to see that, they've stuck with us. Yep. And they've come through our junior program. And some of those kids I've known for a very long time, since I was 5. Yep. And here they are playing senior football.
And for the girls, it's always been when they got to 9 or 10, that was the end of Auskick, and 12 became another phase where they had to move away from football, which always seemed ridiculous.
Yes.
For someone who loved the sport, no matter what sport it was, that at 12 years of age you had to go, I can't play this anymore.
Yeah. Correct. And look, when my son played, he started in under 9. I mean, he had a young girl that played right through to under 12, but she had to go somewhere else, which was unfortunate. Whereas now to see the girls that they've got a pathway, so they can start at 9s, 10s, 11s, and come through and potentially go into under 12s, under 15 girls. So the opportunity's there, which is really good to see. Otherwise, you might lose, so many participants, and we don't want to lose them. No. We actually want to keep those participants, and we want the girls to feel part of it. We want everybody collectively, and we often say that, from Auskick through to the seniors, everyone's important. Absolutely everybody, and we want them playing football. Yeah, the participation things are really important. Oh, absolutely,
And what it'll do for your club in 10 years from now, no one knows, but you can only imagine that it will be fantastic for football clubs to have 2 streams of kids coming through.
Oh, absolutely. And even, with the girls, I mean, obviously coming into, say, under 15, under 18, they haven't had as many years' experience, but I can see even the strength of the girls coming through now into senior women's next year. The skill level. I was watching on Sunday, I was just watching our girls warm up, and I thought, look at your skill from 2 years ago to where you are now. It's just incredible. Their handball, they're kicking on both sides of the body. Just little things that I was just sitting there going, wow, how amazing is this?
Yeah. There was a worry, and certainly I was one who shared it, that the the courageousness of some of the girls and the way they went into some of the contests was ridiculous. They were going to kill themselves.
The AFL.
But you would sit there and watch it with your heart in your mouth. That's being addressed by better standards of coaching and better people being involved at that level, which is obviously something that the leagues had to address, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, you're right. But it also shows that because girls weren't being taught that, because girls had never been taught how to play football, because girls didn't play football. But our age group, it wasn't something you did, right? Unless you had brothers or that you played in the backyard, it wasn't something. So that's just as you said, the coaching and girls getting involved from a young age, and it being as natural for a young girl to go into a primary school or the local ground and actually pick up a football and be running around with her friends, or as for a boy. And I think that's the mindset change, and I think that's underway, and that's what will actually continue to grow.
Starting off so young too.
Yeah, and that's obviously when they come up through Oz.
Grandsons, they've got the three grandsons. The three of them have all got girls. From the under 9s, 10s, and 11s. That one's in the 10s, the other two in the 11s, and they've got 3 and 4 girls in their sides. So it's good that it's starting at that age. And then as they get older, they go to the women's football. But it's really excellent.
Yeah, you won't have that thing where you can't make a decision. You now have a decision that you can make. You can say, I want to keep playing footy, or I don't want to keep playing footy, which is some boys have never really had to think about.
No. But I think the other thing too is that girls are like sponges. They listen, and I'm not suggesting that boys don't. But,
no, they're not. Trust me, boys aren't like
But but the girls, they're listening to what's being told. They're listening and learning how to protect themselves. How to kick and what to do. And I think it's actually really refreshing to see that. Whereas, boys do listen, but then again,
Sorry, what was the question?
I know. I've got a son, so how can I say? But anyway.
Different learning styles.
It is different learning styles.
Girls learn in different ways.
They do. And I do. I think they're sponges.
Are we getting closer and closer to a point where it's not going to be a gender issue, as you mentioned earlier, Meredith? It's about your abilities and all those things?
I think there's a way to go on that. But I think I do think whether that's in football circles or what we're seeing in the broader community. There's the whole approach and the whole recognition that we can, we have to continue to be positive and develop the strengths, but also where the negativity or people who are trying to denigrate, everyone, all of us who are involved who are trying to create something good here need to stand up and actually talk about that and actually not allow people to come in and say negative things. Come in and be constructively critical. Nothing wrong with that. But don't be negative for the sake of it. What we're trying to do here is put it beside playing sport. We're actually trying to develop strong people, strong individuals, communities, and actually get a sense of involvement. That's what we're doing, right? Yes, okay, we're trying to win premierships, but that's not, besides what some people might say, it's important, but the actual growth of participation, whether you're a young girl, a young boy, a teenage boy, girl, and into the seniors, that's what this is about, right?
It's a contribution to the game, to society, to the community, to all those things, ticking all those boxes, and particularly which you three ladies have done in spades in your time in football already, and will continue to do in the future. And we thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
Thank you.